Welcome, Kaarina. I'm so excited to introduce you to this audience at CCLN. We are so glad that you could join us today. Kaarina Hsieh, pastors in Toronto. Tell us about you. Tell us about your ministry, what you do there, and how did you end up in church? What is your story?
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kaarina Hsieh, and I actually serve as the lead pastor of Parkway Forest Community Church right in Toronto. We're right in the heart of North York, if that means anything to anybody. And what that means is we're in a very vibrant, multicultural, socio-economically diverse community. A lot of new immigrants come to this part of the city as a first step. So a lot of new immigrants who are educated, who are here looking for a new life, and in pandemic life that's been harder. But that's where we're situated, and we are actually the product or the fruit of earlier labors. We were part of a larger church. We were a satellite. And we were launched as a church plant just actually 3 years ago after having been in that part of the city for a number of years.
And so tell us about that community. How do you do church in that community? Let's talk about maybe pre-pandemic and then
Sure,
now what's going
sure.
on.
Yeah, well, we started out actually with very humble beginnings. Originally, we were church in the playground, and that was actually not my brainchild. That was people who came before me in this area of ministry. They kind of traveled through the city to areas that were receptive to the gospel and just did church in playgrounds around the city and to families, ministered to families and their children. And then eventually, in our situation, it became a church satellite. And so we were established there as a church, and then we built into that community. And so we have been there for years, building bridges into the community and just loving it with the gospel of Jesus and doing our best to serve it.
I love that because you didn't wait for your community to come into your church building, but you went to them. And loving on your community has been really important. Let's rewind a little bit and
Sure,
tell us, how did you end up in ministry? Did you grow up in the
sure.
church? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I did not. I grew up in Toronto, but I didn't grow up in the church in Toronto. I middle class, second generation Chinese. Uh, I was actually introduced to the church in high school, and I really expected to save the world in a very different way. I thought I was going to become a lawyer, become a diplomat, save the world. Uh, God had other plans, other ways for me to maybe save the world, help save the world. And I became a pastor. So I've been pastoring for over 20 years, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
I can see the love for your what you're doing and for your community in your eyes when you start telling these stories. It's very contagious. And so what do you love the most? Tell us a story about something that you do that you're just so passionate about.
Sure. Well, one of the key ways we love into our community is we try to find ways to just do that, just love them. We do present the gospel when we have the opportunity to do so, but we're really about ministering to the hearts and souls of the people in our neighborhood. And so, for instance, every Easter pre-COVID, we would actually have a very small service for ourselves as we are setting up for the bigger service. And for us, what that looks like on Easter Sunday is we host a chocolate Easter egg hunt for about 400 to 500 kids and families in our
Wow.
community. Yeah, they all come flooding out of the buildings. They see us setting up in the parking lot, and we don't even have to send out flyers anymore. They just wait. Easter Sunday comes, the kids and families come flooding, and then we have a massive chocolate Easter egg hunt. And we have the gospel according to puppets. We have kids worship, nothing for the adults except for a community lunch after. And then we serve a halal meal for the community because most of our neighbors are Muslim. And then we just send them away with ice cream and blessings and invite them back to visit us again. And some do to mostly just to our programs, not to Sunday service, but they'll come to our ESL program. They'll send their kids to our midweek program. And, we just love the community, and we are so grateful that they seem to love us back because they trust us with their kids. They trust us enough to eat our food. So we really love that opportunity to meet our neighbors. And by word of mouth now, It's become a big community event, and everybody knows the church does this. And people always ask, well, how much does it cost, or what do we have to do? And the answer is, you just have to come and enjoy and know that we love you.
How beautiful is that? You're known by your love. That is living out. That is living out
Dream.
Jesus. This is beautiful. What is your hope and prayer for the church in Canada?
Do you know what I would love to just see is the church be that light that we're supposed to be. I would love to see every young person, every child, every adult experience just the life-changing truth of the gospel and find shalom and find healing in our midst. I really believe that people, when they're searching for truth and they find it in Jesus, I mean, that moment, when the light goes on and stays on, that moment of transformation, I mean, that's what we live for, right? Just to see people live into the hope and live into that truth that Jesus has given us eternity in our hearts. I mean, that would change everything for every city in Canada. And that's the dream. I think that's what I long for most, is people coming to that transforming, that moment when peace breaks through and hope becomes the undercurrent of their life. That's the dream.
Beautiful. Oh, you're so inspiring. Thank you, Kaarina, for joining us today. I know that people that are listening in will be inspired by your words and how you're living out loving your community, loving people. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been a blessing for me.